keeps going up, which means that's the buyers and sellers on the COMEX. It means that this gold cartel, the silver price managers, are digging in. I talk a lot about a commercial signal failure, which we've been looking for a long time. That means when the commercials, some of them are forced to cover, and that's when you get your panic buying and the open interest actually goes down. You can see, I don't know, silver could go up $3 in a day like I expect it. So all I know is it's the downside here is risk-reward ratio is minimal. The upside is just explosive, and it could do things that people can't imagine because of this setup that we have.
Hi, Bill. It's great to have you here. I'm just absolutely amazed to be able to talk to you in person. I wanted to just say that your presentation in front of the CFTC was patriotic and amazing. I'd also like to comment on GATA. It's something that's really got me motivated on the gold side. I also bought the Gold Rush 21 video, and it's amazing the timing of what was said in those presentations and what has actually happened. It's absolutely clear GATA has a handle on what's going on in these markets. We've talked a lot about what's going on with the banking side of things. I would like to get your take on what you think the Federal Reserve side of things has been doing with the gold manipulation. Ron Paul's recently out talking about gold not being necessarily in Fort Knox. We've watched the banks in Britain sell the gold, but I'm looking specifically at the Federal Reserve side. Thank you.
Well, first of all, it's interesting. I met Congressman Paul. He's a great guy. We have a lot in common. He's becoming much more aggressive lately on our issues, where he's mentioned, yes, of course, it would be in their interest to manipulate the market. And he's calling for an audit of our gold reserves. There hasn't been one since 1955. Nobody knows. And what is most interesting to us, he used the word encumbered, meaning just because the gold's there isn't enough. Is it swapped out? Is it lent? Does somebody else have claims on it? And was a big deal for us. So hopefully, he's been getting a lot more credibility lately. That can pick up some steam. But in the meantime, God is on the case. President Obama said his administration was going to be transparent and asked for transparency from his people. Well, of course, when it comes to our subject, there's anything but transparency. We have a lot of Fed minutes. They talked about gold swaps and this and that. And we have a law firm in Washington which we've asked the Fed about, is there gold in play, or specifically about gold swap operations, which means swapping gold with other countries and various issues and so on. And they came back to us and said, Kevin Warsh, one of their Fed board governors, said, we don't have to tell you this because it's secret information. That's the essence of what he said. They have an exclusion from telling us, and they're not going to tell us anything about U.S. gold operations, which, thanks for being so transparent. It's the American people's gold. It's not their gold. Well, why don't we have a right to know what's going on with it? But as my colleague Chris Powell says, the government would rather give out its nuclear secrets than tell people what they've done with the U.S. gold. So we're making progress. We're in federal court recently, federal district court recently it's under Freedom of Information Act stuff. Bloomberg, never been a GATA supporter to say the least. They have now won 2 cases in there asking the Fed to give out information about the bailout, and 2 courts have ruled in Bloomberg's favor. Now that means the Fed has to give the information, or the last appeal will be the U.S. Supreme Court. So we have a little bit of precedent here that we're not just whistling Dixie in our lawsuit against the Fed. Now, who knows what's going to happen? We've been on it for some time now, but we're on the case. So we just know that we have there's a lot of GATA work's been done with over the years. Fed chairman and people have talked about gold and gold operations and why it's in their interest to keep the price down. Paul Volcker said it was biggest mistake he made was not manipulating the price of gold. 1993, Alan Greenspan, we saw in the Fed minutes where he talked about gold as a thermometer and if we could just sell some of the market, we could influence opinion, which is exactly what Larry Summers is doing now. I call it the behavioral finance people. It's all about trying to create perceptions in the marketplace and so on. So the Fed's way out there. I think a lot of us that follow markets, doesn't matter what they say, that the U.S. is in big trouble for a lot of reasons. We don't need to get into those, but quantitative easing's here or going to be here, and gold and silver will be the beneficiaries.
Hi, I have a question. There's lots of volatility going on in the silver markets right now, especially with JP Morgan trying to suppress the prices. Do you see the price going down prior to it going way up, or do you think that it'll just continue to go up, then go down small amounts, and then just skyrocket through the roof? What is your view on how the prices of precious metals are going to react in the coming weeks and months ahead?
Well, if I was saying it's going to explode this week, everyone should sell, because that'd be a total jinx. But you can never talk about the next day or two, because again, this is rigged markets, not a free market. They can come in at any time, and it's not an excuse. But we know it's what I write about and talk about, and we're looking for an explosion in gold and silver by the end of the year. And the daily fluctuations, it's difficult. I mean, when you all follow it. I mean, every time it looks great, they come in, and then what's changed lately is that they've been getting beat because of the forces that I talked to you about. So I'm expecting for gold and silver to really take off, and I think silver's in play. I think it could get squeezed. I think they have big problems, and I think we have some serious excitement in the weeks and months ahead. So that's how I would play it, and as part of that would be buying all dips.
Yes, Bill. Daryl Head from Silver Bugs. Pleasure to talk to you. My question's really fast and easy. There's been a lot of rusty gold found in Russia. I wonder if you have any comments on that. That's all I got for that.
There's a lot of talk about tungsten fake bars and gold, and there was some funny gold, I think, in Dubai. And all I know is that the Russians are smart, and they're the big buyers now. I know there was some question about some of their gold, but the biggest kick we get out of it is this Andrei Bykov. Again, he's one of the key economic consultants to President Putin of Russia at the time in 2005. And, he didn't go to the biggest gold conference in the world in Australia, the Diggers and Dealers Conference. He came to our conference way up in the middle of nowhere in Dawson City in the Yukon. And it was, again, a magical conference. And at the end, I'll never forget, we were at the dance hall saloon. They were having our final party, and he said, Bill, this is the finest conference I was ever at. And gold was $436, and the price had been doing not much of anything. 2 days later, it exploded and went up $300 an ounce before they hit it again in the next 9 months. So we know that the Russians know what God knows. In addition, the year before that Bykov came to our conference, there was a guy, it was a big bullion dealer conference, and all the mucky mucks and all the snoots in Moscow at one of their big hotels. And the attendees, none of them would ever even talk to God. We're so far beneath them. This Oleg Mozikov, the number 2 guy at the Russian Central Bank, had this big presentation in Russian, and the only words he mentioned, and it was it's considerable talk, was the Gold Antitrust Action Committee. And of course, they were absolutely stunned that this would even be mentioned in polite company. And he went on to say what we had to say and so on. And excuse me, at the time he said that the gold price should have been $300 higher, $400 higher than it was, and that was the end of it. And we tried to get some of these dealers to give us a copy of the speech, but we would get it translated, but not one of them would give us a copy. So we went back to the Russian Central Bank, and they got the head of the Moscow Narodny Bank in London to give us the speech, except they translated it for us. So the Russians know what God knows, and it's no surprise to us that they have been going all over their gold market and why they're buying heavily today. I mean, I think they bought something like 15, 16 tons last month, which is a lot of gold.
Open mic, Joe.
Okay, I was just curious. I've been looking at silver demand and supply, and I've been looking at the Silver Institute, and somehow they, for the last, looks like 10 years, they've been able to predict exactly the demand year to year of silver. And I was just wondering if you think that there is actually a silver shortage worldwide, or if there is actually an abundant supply of silver in the world. Thank you.
Well, good question. Where I got my start in this thing, I have to go back to gold. I mean, silver, we've been talking a lot about it. I just think it's explosive but to relate to that, how I have some background on this, way back when, we realized through the work of my former colleagues and friends that the gold supply-demand numbers were all wrong. All the demand was understated because the GFMS, the gold's people, when the World Gold Council did not want to deal with the price coming into the gold market by these central banks that I talk about that was used to suppress the price. So the only way you can account for that to make numbers match is to underestimate demand. Now, again, I go back to knowing what God knows. I've been talking about this for 10 years and been right for 10 years as gold keeps going up and up and up, and other people come and they go, it's this, that, it's the dollar. No. That's not the key to the market. The key to the market, again, is the ability of the physical market to overpower the gold cartel. I'm mentioning this again because it goes back to faulty supply-demand numbers that we, and these are colleagues of mine that did this, and they did it in 3 different methodologies, we figured out 10 years ago. Frank Veneroso said, I've known for many, many years, has spoke at Durban, the God African Gold Summit in Durban, South Africa, May 10th, 2001. He said the central banks are going to hit the wall in 7 to 10 years about supplying a lot of gold to the market. And wouldn't you know, right in the middle of that, at the end of 2009, exactly in the middle, the European Central Bank stopped selling gold. Now, why it's important to your question, it's because I think the same's true in silver. The Silver Users Association doesn't want a high price of gold. They want nothing to do with the likes of us. They won't even talk about it. And I don't think they're any different than the gold organizations. And I think they're going to have a lot of egg on their face when the price of silver explodes. It's coming. Okay, what we're going to do here is just break for 2 minutes, and as my colleague here, Kirsty, said she wants to do another shout out for promotion. One sec.
Hey everybody, it's Kirsty here. Hey Mike, Mike and Daryl. What I want to do right now is just kind of open up the chat text for just a little bit. Simply because we are going to be sending out some information about Le Metropole Cafe. Bill does a commentary on there daily. Just to give you my review of it, it's basically second to none. It's the best commentary I've ever read. It's daily. It's the people who are contributing to that commentary are the